my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm metrosexual.
Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's Wraith here, back with another video. Now, in today's video, I decided to go back to a couple of videos you guys wanted to see. And basically what I'm going to be doing is just talking about how to become more confident and how to not choke under pressure, because a lot of you guys end up choking under pressure. At least that's what you guys have told me. And trust me, I still get pressured all the time and I still get nervous, but at least some of these tips have helped me out quite a bit with kind of dealing with this pressure and getting a little bit more confident and knowing that you can do it. And yeah, that's basically it for today's intro. Make sure you smash the like button, make sure that subscribe button, comment what you want to see for a future video. Use creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and I will be streaming right after this video. If you guys want to come check me out, I'd highly appreciate it. And yeah, let's basically get into today's video and let's not waste any more time. So the first tip I want to talk about, and this kind of relates to obviously getting more practicing and becoming a little bit more confident, but it's playing in more intense game and playing in more intense tournaments. So basically putting yourself in that situation where you're forced to be a little bit more confident, or once you start being in that position more, you're going to feel more confident. So basically how it works in anything in life, the more you're in a scenario, the more confident you're going to feel in that scenario, the more natural you'll feel in that scenario. So for example, if you want to work on your confidence endgame and you feel like endgame's the biggest scenario where you don't do that well, basically all you have to do is go and practice your endgame and be in the endgame more often. If you're practicing, let's say, solos and just straight solos, and you're not doing any arena, no customs, no tournaments or whatever, well, the first time you go into a custom tournament or an actual tournament and you get to the endgame, you'd be like, oh my god, I'm so nervous, I've never been here before, and you might start shaking, right? But basically, if you've already been in that scenario 10,000 times because all you do is play customs, all you do every single tournament that's available, well, once you start getting in that end game scenario where there's only 3 people left, you're gonna feel like, oh, I feel way better. Like this is normal for me. Like I've been in this situation before. I've won custom games before. I've won tournament games before. And even if you haven't, even if you've placed high or done well in the end game, got a couple kills, you can just be like, hey, I've been in this situation before. I don't need to be nervous because I've already done it. Like it's, again, if you've been in the scenario before, you'd feel way more confident if you're just going to get into it the first time. If you're just getting into it the first time, I understand completely how you'd be nervous, because basically if it's your first time, I would be extremely nervous as well. Like if I've never done a tournament before and I'm going into the World Cup qualifiers, I would be really nervous. I would have thought, okay, I'm definitely not good enough to do this and I'm going to choke, whatever. But if I've already been doing customs for so long, I'm going to be like, hey, this is the exact same thing, same pressure, whatever the case is, right? This is easy. So tip number 2, and this is a huge one, is take a second to breathe sometimes. Pros talk about this all the time. Now after they've been in tons of customs, etc., they do tournaments, they know they're the best players in the world, well then they feel a little bit more confident, obviously, when they're fighting people and they are in the end game scenario. But even then, a lot of them said to help cope with the pressure, etc., in the first couple tournaments they were in, or in the first LAN events they were in, a couple of them said, I think Mr. Savage was one of the big ones that I looked at, he said he's like, I would just box up, take a second, relax, be like, hey, I'm a good player, I've been in this scenario before, I've been practicing, I'm one of the best players in the world, blah blah blah, I'm good, blah blah blah, and basically just take a second in your box up, or even if the zone's moving, you can always take a second. If you're on high ground, don't shoot at someone for a second, just be like, deep breath in, deep breath out, and be like, hey, I'm a good player, I know what I'm doing, I can do this, right? You just gotta have that confidence, and sometimes taking a second allows you to remember that you are a good player, you have been in this scenario, etc., etc. Because some of us, and even me for etc., I will get in the end game and I'll just start going on autopilot. I'll start thinking 1,000 miles per hour. I don't stop. I keep moving. I keep editing. I keep shooting. Whatever the case is, right? Well, basically, if you do that, sure, if you're a natural god and you've been in this scenario and you're a good player, well, that's going to work for you. But some of us get nervous in that scenario, so all you have to do to help kind of cope with that is basically, like I said, take a second, be like, hey, I'm a good player. It's okay, whatever I do. I know I've been practicing. I know I've been putting in the hours. Blah, 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 blah. It's working. Or even just, again, breathe. Take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and trust me, you'll feel way more confident afterwards. You'll feel like, okay, this is fine. This is good. And trust me, you'll feel way more confident. Now this third tip kind of relates to the second one, and it kind of has to deal with like confidence and how much you've practiced, etc. But what I want you to remember is to have confidence and remember that you've put in the hours. And this kind of goes back to, have you put in the practice? Have you been playing these custom matches or whatever the case is? Because if you haven't been putting in the time and you haven't been practicing every day, you haven't been playing for 4 or 5 hours every single day, whatever the case is, well, yeah, then I completely understand that you might not feel confident. You might be like, okay, well, I'm not the greatest player, I'm not that good, like whatever. Well, then you're not going to do that good. But if you've been putting in the hours and you're an Unreal player and you know that you're an Unreal player, well, then that becomes a little bit different, because then all you have to think about is be like, okay, I've put in the hours. I know I'm an Unreal player. I know I can clap most of these people in the lobby. I know I'm better than these kids. And then your whole mentality changes. Trust me, once you realize in your gut that you're better than most players, you're going to be like, okay, I can do this. No one's going to be able to kill me. And even if they like do, I know I'm better than them, and I'll just go into the next game and clap everyone else, right? You just got to have that mentality that you are the best, even if you're not. Even if you're just a really good player, you're average. Like, I'm not nowhere near the best. I finished like top 50, top 75 in tournaments, etc. But that doesn't mean I still don't think I'm one of the best players in this lobby, right? Because having confidence and knowing how much time you put into the game matters quite a bit. Like, always go back to, just think to yourself, like, I am good and I put so much time into this game. There's a reason as to why I can kill most people in this lobby, is because I put in the time, and I put in more time than everyone else in the lobby. And trust me, you'll do way better knowing how good you are and thinking back to how good you are. Now this next tip is a very, very important one, and it's have a good warm-up. Like, some people, I don't know how, some people maybe play Kovacs for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then just hop straight into the game. Or even some people hop on for 20 minutes before World Cup and then start playing, and I'm like, that's not a good thing. Like, unless you're working or you have school or something like that where you don't have time to warm up, you don't have time to get in a proper practice, well, then that's different. That's okay. You have an excuse. But for people that wake up at 2 o'clock and the World Cup starts at 4, let's say, or something like that, they go eat, they shower, blah, blah, blah. They take an hour and a half to get ready, and then they have 20 minutes to warm up. That's not a good reason. You should be warming up for at least 30 minutes to an hour minimum before every single tournament, every single World Cup. For next year, obviously it's done now, but every single tournament, every single scrim, before every single time you play, you should be warming up, making sure that you're feeling good, because again, that relates to confidence. You're going to have a routine, so every single time you warm up, you're going to feel like, oh, this is easy, I can do all this, right? You're going to feel way better every single time you warm up, and trust me, you're just, more skills will be on point. If you don't warm up, sure, some people don't need warm up. For example, I guarantee you Mongo doesn't need a warm up, but he still does one because it feels good. It makes his aim on point. It makes his builds, edits on point. You want everything being crisp and clean, because if you're messing up and you're not doing the best you can just because you didn't warm up, well, then that's not a very good thing, right? You want to make sure that you're always on your prime time, and you can do that by always getting in a warm up before every tournament and every single big game. Now this is a last tip, and this kind of relates back to helping you like kind of gain that confidence, be more in that scenario. And a big one that helped me was play more duos or trios or even sometimes squads, because trust me, we all know the feeling when you're the last person alive in your duo, you're the last person alive in your squad or trio or whatever the case is. You're kind of nervous. You're kind of like, oh my god, everyone else is relying on me. Even if there's 2 people left or there's 10 people left, you're like, okay, everyone else is relying on me. Or even in a duo, sometimes in duo I just get nervous and I'm like, okay, like, it's on me. It's completely on me. If I screw up, I screw up. It's not my duo's fault. It's on my fault. Sure, he died, but it's on me. And basically that just, again, gives you that scenario of feeling more confident, feeling like you're good, because the more you win those games where people are watching you and people are like basically judging you for how you play, well, the more confident you're going to feel, right? If this is the first time playing with a duo and your duo dies and you're forced to play by yourself, you're not going to feel that confident, because you know that your duo is watching. You know that he's like spectating and be like, hey, is this guy actually good, or can I find someone else? Or even in your squads, your buddies are all waiting for you to catch the dub and win the game. But basically, if you don't, you kind of feel bad. But the more you put yourself in that scenario, the more confident you're going to feel, and the more you're going to stop caring what other people think. Like, some people I know will be on the screen for the World Cup or whatever when they're watching other people's games, and they'll just crumble under pressure. They'll be like, thousands of people are watching me, or 1,000 people could be even watching me, even if they're not, and then they just crumble under pressure. Which, if you have people spectating you, like for example a duo or a trio, you will feel way more confident when it comes down to it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you slap the like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you leave a comment what you want for a future video, use creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and check out my stream, WraithAM, or link in the description. Have a good day everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.